The Appalachian Trail is a famous hiking trail in the eastern United States. It begins at Springer Mountain in Georgia and stretches north to Mount Katahdin in Maine. Springer Mountain is located in the Chattahoochee National Forest in northern Georgia. The summit of Springer Mountain stands at an elevation of 3,782 feet. The trailhead can be accessed via Forest Service Road 42, which is about a 1-mile hike to the summit. At the summit, there's a bronze plaque marking the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail. The summit offers stunning views of the surrounding mountains and forests. The Springer Mountain Shelter, located just north of the summit, is a popular spot for through hikers to begin their journey. A wooden sign marks the beginning of the trail, a popular photo spot for hikers. The trail then meanders through the North Georgia mountains, offering diverse landscapes and rich biodiversity as it makes its way northward. But there's a dark side. The ghost of the Appalachian Trail is said to be the spirit of a hiker who met a tragic end on the trail. While there are various versions of the story, a common one involves a hiker named Jebediah Jones, who set out on the trail in the early 1900s. Jebediah was known to be an experienced outdoorsman, but he mysteriously disappeared during his hike. When search parties were sent out, they found no trace of him except for his abandoned campsite and a journal. According to legend, Jebediah's journal contained entries that spoke of strange occurrences in the woods. He wrote about feeling watched, hearing footsteps behind him, and seeing shadows moving in the trees at night. His last entry mentioned a chilling encounter with a ghostly figure who warned him to leave the trail. The journal ended abruptly, leading many to believe that Jebediah met a supernatural fate. Hikers who have ventured onto the Appalachian Trail have reported encountering Jebediah's ghost. They describe seeing a spectral figure dressed in early 20th century hiking attire, sometimes appearing at dusk or dawn. Some claim to hear his footsteps or feel a cold presence nearby. The ghost is often said to appear near the spot where Jebediah's campsite was found, usually in the more remote sections of the trail. Skeptics attribute these sightings to the natural fears and hallucinations that can occur when people are alone in the wilderness. The Appalachian Trail can be a lonely and daunting place, especially for solo hikers, and the power of suggestion can easily turn ordinary sounds and sights into something more sinister. Believers, however, are convinced that Jebediah's spirit still roams the trail, warning hikers of the dangers that might lie ahead. Some even leave small offerings or notes at his supposed campsite, hoping to appease the restless spirit or gain his protection. Even in modern times, reports of the ghost of the Appalachian Trail continue. With advancements in technology, some hikers have tried to capture evidence of the ghost through photographs or recordings, though conclusive proof remains elusive. The legend persists, adding an extra layer of mystery and intrigue to the Appalachian Trail experience. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, the story of the ghost of the Appalachian Trail serves as a reminder of the countless souls who have walked its path and the mysteries that the wilderness can hold. The history of the Appalachian region, like much of the United States, involves the displacement of Native American tribes. In the case of the Appalachian Trail area, tribes such as the Cherokee were forcibly removed from their lands during events like the Trail of Tears. Many Native American cultures hold deep spiritual connections to the land. When these lands are taken or disturbed, it can be seen as a disruption to the spiritual balance and harmony. Over time, stories and legends about curses or hauntings often emerge from such historical injustices. These stories can reflect the lingering pain and unresolved history associated with the displacement of native peoples. Many believe this is the reason for all the misfortune on the trail. Dennis Martin, a 6-year-old boy, went missing on June 14, 1969, while on a camping trip with his family. Despite extensive searches involving thousands of volunteers and the FBI, no trace of Dennis was ever found. His disappearance remains one of the most baffling cases in the park's history. 16-year-old Trenny Lynn Gibson disappeared on October 8, 1976, during a school field trip. She was last seen walking ahead of her classmates on the trail. Despite an extensive search, no evidence of her whereabouts was ever discovered. Thelma Melton, a 58-year-old experienced hiker, vanished on September 25, 1981, while hiking with friends. She walked ahead of them and was never seen again. Despite a thorough search, no clues were found. Jeffrey Haig, a 27-year-old hiker, disappeared in July 2012 near Mount Katahdin. His belongings were found at his campsite, but there was no sign of him. Extensive searches failed to uncover any further information. Geraldine Largay, a 66-year-old hiker, went missing in July 2013. Her remains were found in October 2015, about 3,000 feet from the trail. It appeared she had become lost after leaving the trail to go to the bathroom. Kyle Crowder, a 27-year-old hiker, disappeared in November 2015. His backpack was found, but his body was never recovered. The circumstances of his disappearance remain unknown. Michael Kaiser, a 20-year-old hiker, went missing in April 2016. His body was found a month later in a steep ravine. It is believed he fell, but the exact circumstances remain unclear. These are just a few of many disappearances that contribute to the eerie reputation of the Appalachian Trail and the surrounding areas. Many theories have been proposed, ranging from natural accidents to more supernatural explanations, but the truth behind these cases remains elusive. The Brown Mountain Lights are a phenomenon reported near Brown Mountain in North Carolina, primarily visible from the Blue Ridge Parkway and other vantage points in the Pisgah National Forest. These unexplained illuminations that are adjacent to the trail have fascinated and puzzled observers for centuries. Native American tribes like the Cherokee and Catawba spoke of the lights long before European settlers arrived. They believed the lights were the spirits of maidens searching for their fallen warriors. In the late 1800s, settlers in the area began reporting sightings of mysterious lights. These reports were mostly oral and often tied to ghost stories and local legends. A U.S. Geological Survey team led by D.B. Sterrett investigated the lights in 1913. Sterrett concluded that the lights were headlights from locomotives in the Catawba Valley. However, this explanation was later challenged. In the 1920s, another geologist, George Mansfield, conducted a more detailed study. Mansfield also suggested that the lights were from automobile and train headlights, but this didn't fully explain all sightings, especially those predating cars and trains. The lights continued to attract attention, with many people visiting the area to witness them. Various scientific studies were conducted, but none provided a conclusive explanation. Sightings of the Brown Mountain Lights have continued into the present day. They are described as glowing orbs that appear in various colors and seem to move erratically. Some scientists believe the lights could be a result of specific atmospheric conditions, creating a mirage effect. Another theory suggests that the lights are caused by the release of piezoelectric energy from the quartz-bearing rocks in the area. Similar to other mysterious light phenomena, some propose that swamp gas or ignited methane could be a factor. Many locals and visitors prefer supernatural explanations, seeing the lights as ghostly apparitions or otherworldly entities. The Brown Mountain Lights have become a part of local folklore and culture, inspiring songs, stories, and even TV shows and movies. The mystery of the Brown Mountain Lights remains unsolved, with ongoing interest from both scientific communities and paranormal enthusiasts. Their elusive and enigmatic nature continues to draw visitors to the Appalachian region in hopes of witnessing the lights firsthand. The Appalachian Trail, which spans from Georgia to Maine, traverses various states, including Maryland. The legend of the Snallygaster, with its roots in the Maryland area, naturally becomes part of the folklore that hikers and locals share along the trail. The Snallygaster's myth adds to the mysterious and sometimes eerie atmosphere that many hikers experience while traversing the dense forests, rugged terrain, and remote sections of the Appalachian Trail. The Snallygaster is a mythical creature rooted in American folklore, particularly in the Maryland and Mid-Atlantic region. Its legend dates back to the early 18th century and has evolved over the centuries, blending elements of European folklore with local American tales. The legend of the Snallygaster is believed to have been brought to America by German immigrants who settled in the Middletown Valley area of Maryland in the 1730s. The name Snallygaster is thought to be derived from the German word schneller Geist, meaning quick spirit. Early settlers described the Snallygaster as a dragon-like creature with features reminiscent of European folklore creatures. It was said to have a metallic beak lined with razor-sharp teeth, clawed wings, and sometimes octopus-like tentacles. The creature was believed to swoop down from the sky, snatch livestock and children, and carry them away. Throughout the 19th and early 20th centuries, sightings of the snallygaster were sporadic but persistent. Newspaper reports from the time documented various encounters with the beast, often sensationalizing the stories to captivate readers. These reports describe the creature as a fearsome predator that instilled fear in local communities. In 1909, the snallygaster legend gained significant attention when the Middletown Valley Register published a series of articles detailing multiple sightings of the creature. According to these reports, the snallygaster had been seen flying over the Blue Ridge Mountains, attacking livestock, and even leaving mysterious footprints in the snow. The articles drew national interest, and other newspapers across the country picked up the story. The snallygaster legend experienced a resurgence during the Prohibition era in the 1920s. Bootleggers and moonshiners in the region allegedly used the fear of the snallygaster to keep nosy neighbors and law enforcement away from their illegal distilleries. Stories of the creature were revived and embellished, often portraying the snallygaster as a guardian of the hidden stills. One particularly famous story from this time involves a purported encounter between the snallygaster and federal agents who were investigating illegal moonshine operations. According to the tale, the agents stumbled upon the creature's lair and barely escaped with their lives, further fueling the snallygaster's fearsome reputation. In the 1930s, the legend of the snallygaster took an intriguing turn when the Smithsonian Institution reportedly offered a reward for the creature's hide. This sparked a renewed interest in hunting the beast, with various groups and individuals embarking on expeditions to capture or kill the snallygaster. However, no concrete evidence of the creature was ever found, and the Smithsonian's involvement remains a topic of debate and speculation. While sightings of the snallygaster have become less frequent in modern times, the legend persists in local folklore and popular culture. The creature has been referenced in books, movies, and television shows, often portrayed as a terrifying and elusive beast. The annual Snallygaster Beer Festival in Washington, D.C. celebrates the creature with craft beer and entertainment, highlighting its enduring place in regional folklore. Sheepsquatch, also known as the White Thing, is a cryptid reportedly sighted in the Appalachian region, particularly in West Virginia. It is described as a large, woolly creature resembling a sheep or a large bear with sheep-like characteristics. Witnesses often describe it as being covered in white, shaggy fur with goat-like horns, large, clawed hands, and a pronounced snout. The first reported sightings of Sheepsquatch date back to the mid-1990s. One of the most notable encounters occurred in 2004 when a group of campers in the Appalachian Mountains reported seeing a large, white creature at night. They described it as having sheep-like fur and horns. The creature reportedly stood up on its hind legs and emitted a loud, terrifying scream before disappearing into the woods. Since the initial sightings, there have been sporadic reports of Sheepsquatch sightings throughout West Virginia and neighboring states. These reports often describe similar features and behaviors, suggesting a consistent image of the creature. Some believe that Sheepsquatch is a yet undiscovered species of animal, possibly a misidentified or mutated bear. Cryptid enthusiasts often draw parallels between Sheepsquatch and other legendary creatures like Bigfoot and the Yeti. The legend of Sheepsquatch may also have roots in local folklore and mythology. Similar to other cryptids in the region, such as the Mothman and the Flatwoods Monster, Sheepsquatch adds to the rich tapestry of Appalachian supernatural stories. Some suggest that environmental factors, such as the region's dense forests and isolated communities, contribute to the persistence of the Sheepsquatch legend. The remote and rugged terrain of the Appalachian Mountains makes it an ideal setting for tales of mysterious creatures. Hikers on the Appalachian Trail often share stories of strange encounters and sightings. The legend of Sheepsquatch is one of many that add a sense of mystery and excitement to the trail experience. While there are no widely documented Sheepsquatch sightings directly on the AT, the creature's legend is part of the broader lore that hikers might encounter. The legend of Sheepsquatch contributes to the cultural and folkloric richness of the Appalachian region. Local communities along the trail often celebrate and perpetuate these legends through storytelling, festivals, and tourism, adding to the unique character of the area. Similar to other Appalachian legends, the story of Sheepsquatch attracts paranormal enthusiasts and tourists to the region. This interest can lead hikers and visitors to explore areas off the main trail, seeking out the locations associated with sheep squatch sightings and other cryptid stories. The Wampus cat is a legendary creature rooted in Native American folklore, particularly among the Cherokee people. The creature is often described as a half-woman, half-cat being, with a blend of both feline and human characteristics. It is said to possess glowing eyes, sharp claws, and the ability to walk on its hind legs. The origin of the Wampus cat legend varies, but one common version of the tale involves a Cherokee woman who sought to avenge her husband. According to the story, her husband was driven mad by a spirit called the Iwa while on a hunting trip. Determined to confront the creature and save her husband, the woman donned a feline mask and hid near a stream where the Iwa was known to drink. When the spirit appeared, the woman ambushed it, using her cunning and bravery to defeat the Iwa and drive it away. However, in doing so, she was transformed into a half-human, half-cat being, cursed to wander the forests forever. Another version tells of a woman who, against tribal customs, spied on a sacred ceremony. She was caught and, as punishment, was transformed into the Wampus cat, a creature that is both feared and revered for its supernatural abilities. Over the years, the Wampus cat legend has evolved, blending Native American folklore with European settlers' tales and Southern storytelling traditions. Sightings of the Wampus cat have been reported throughout the Appalachian region, particularly in the deep forests and remote areas. Descriptions of the creature vary, but it is often depicted as having glowing eyes, powerful limbs, and an eerie, human-like cry. In modern times, the Wampus cat has become a staple of Southern and Appalachian folklore. It is sometimes portrayed as a guardian of the forest, protecting the land from those who would harm it. Other stories depict the Wampus cat as a more malevolent entity, haunting the woods and terrorizing those who venture too far into its territory. The story of the Bell Witch, one of America's most famous ghost stories, originates in the early 19th century in Adams, Tennessee. The Bell Witch legend revolves around the Bell family, who experienced an array of supernatural occurrences on their farm from 1817 to 1821. John Bell, a farmer, reportedly first encountered the entity in 1817 when he saw a strange animal in his fields that resembled a dog with a rabbit's head. He shot at the creature, but it disappeared. Soon after, the Bell family began experiencing poltergeist-like activities, knocking on walls, the sound of chains dragging, and gnawing sounds. The disturbances grew in intensity, eventually including physical assaults, with family members being slapped, pinched, and having their hair pulled. The entity eventually began to speak, identifying itself as the spirit of Kate Batts, a neighbor who felt wronged by John Bell in a land dispute. This spirit, often referred to as Kate, seemed to have a vendetta against John Bell and his daughter Betsy. Kate's attacks on John Bell intensified over time, leading to his mysterious illness and subsequent death in December 1820. After Bell's death, the spirit was reported to have laughed and claimed responsibility. The spirit also focused much of its attention on Betsy Bell, tormenting her and her fiancé, Joshua Gardner. Under pressure from the spirit, Betsy eventually broke off their engagement. The entity reportedly told the family it would return in 7 years, which it supposedly did in 1828, only to leave again and promise to return 107 years later in 1935. However, there are no recorded disturbances from that year. The Bell Witch legend is primarily set in Tennessee, a state through which the Appalachian Trail runs. Although the Bell Witch haunting occurred specifically in Adams, located in northern Tennessee, the folklore and storytelling culture of the Appalachian region likely helped in preserving and spreading the legend. The Appalachian region is rich with tales of the supernatural, and the Bell Witch fits well into this broader tapestry of ghost stories and folklore. Spearfinger, also known as Utlunta in Cherokee folklore, is one of the most frightening and well-known legends in the Appalachian region, particularly within the Great Smoky Mountains where the Appalachian Trail passes. The legend of Spearfinger comes from the Cherokee people. According to the legend, Spearfinger is a malevolent witch with a stone-like skin and a sharp obsidian finger on her right hand, which she uses as a deadly weapon. Spearfinger is described as having skin as hard as rock, which makes her nearly invulnerable to attacks. She is able to shapeshift, often transforming into familiar figures to lure her victims. Her most terrifying feature is her sharp finger, which she uses to cut into her victims and extract their livers, her preferred source of sustenance. Spearfinger is said to dwell in the high mountains, particularly in the regions of what is now North Carolina and Tennessee, including parts of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This area is traversed by the Appalachian Trail, adding a layer of eeriness for hikers familiar with the legend. According to the legend, Spearfinger primarily preys on children. She would often disguise herself as an elderly woman or someone the children knew to gain their trust. Once close enough, she would use her sharp finger to cut open their bodies and remove their livers. The legend tells of a time when the Cherokee people, distressed by the frequent disappearances and deaths, decided to confront and destroy Spearfinger. The Cherokee devised a plan to lure her into a trap. They dug a deep pit, covered it with branches and leaves, and set a fire nearby to attract her attention. When Spearfinger approached, disguised as an old woman, she fell into the pit. The Cherokee warriors then tried to kill her with arrows and spears, but her stone skin made her nearly invulnerable. According to the legend, a bird called the titmouse revealed her one weakness, her heart, which was located not in her chest, but in her right hand. Following this advice, the Cherokee warriors targeted her right hand and ultimately succeeded in killing her. The trail passes through areas steeped in Cherokee history and folklore, including the Great Smoky Mountains, where Spearfinger is said to have roamed. There are various myths and legends about mysterious people living in the woods along the Appalachian Trail. Some of the most commonly mentioned groups include: historically, moonshiners were known to inhabit remote areas of the Appalachian Mountains to produce illegal alcohol. Although less common today, the legend persists, and some people still believe that moonshiners live deep in the woods. The Melungeons are a mysterious group of people with a mixed heritage, believed to have lived in the Appalachian region since the 17th century. They are often described as having unique physical characteristics and a blend of European, African, and Native American ancestry. Often depicted in popular culture and folklore, the hill people are stereotyped as reclusive, self-sufficient individuals or families living deep in the mountains. These tales typically emphasize their isolation and sometimes suggest a distrust of outsiders. This more recent legend involves the idea of feral people living in the wild, completely disconnected from modern society. Stories about these individuals often suggest they are dangerous and unpredictable. Many believe that the Appalachian Trail is haunted by spirits of those who once lived in the region, or hikers who met unfortunate ends on the trail. These ghost stories add to the mystique of the trail. The trail has also seen its number of serial killers. Gary Michael Hilton was linked to multiple murders across several states, including the murder of Meredith Emerson in Georgia in 2008. Emerson was abducted while hiking on the Appalachian Trail and later killed. Hilton often targeted female hikers and was known for his brutality. He was sentenced to death in Florida for the murder of Cheryl Dunlap and received life sentences for other murders. In 1981, Randall Lee Smith murdered two hikers, Robert Mountford Jr. and Laura Susan Ramsey, on the Appalachian Trail in Virginia. He was convicted of second-degree murder and served 15 years before being released. In 2008, Smith attacked two fishermen, Scott Johnston and Sean Farmer, near the same area. Both victims survived, and Smith died in a car crash shortly after. In 1990, Jeffrey Hood and Molly LaRue were murdered by Paul David Cruz near Duncannon, Pennsylvania. The couple was hiking the trail when Cruz attacked them. Cruz was caught, convicted, and is serving a life sentence without parole. In 1974, Joel Polson and Margaret McFadden were attacked by Ralph Howard Fox near Pine Grove Furnace State Park in Pennsylvania. Polson was killed and McFadden was injured but survived. Fox was later convicted and received a life sentence. In 1988, Stephen Roy Carr attacked Rebecca White and Claudia Brenner while they were hiking in Pennsylvania. White was killed and Brenner was seriously injured but survived. Carr was convicted of murder and attempted murder, receiving a life sentence. In 1996, Julianne Williams and Lolly Winans were murdered in Shenandoah National Park, which is near the Appalachian Trail. Their deaths remain unsolved, although Darrell David Rice was indicted and later released due to lack of evidence. Despite these tragic events, millions of people continue to visit the Appalachian Trail each year, drawn by its natural beauty and the sense of adventure it offers. While the trail is generally safe, hikers should always be cautious and prepared, whether they believe in the supernatural or not. Being aware of their surroundings, traveling with others, and following safety guidelines can help ensure a safe and enjoyable experience on the trail. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.